Everybody's talking at the comic spot. The comic spot. The comic spot. Everybody's talking at the comic spot. The comic spot.
Well, Facebook, we have Greg Benevent here tonight. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
You did. You did it on the first try. That's great. It's one of those deceptively difficult names. Like it's very
Yes.
easy to pronounce and it looks like it's pronounced, and yet people mess it up so much. I never get remotely upset about it when they do.
I can see them messing it up because it's like so long, it's longer than Smith. And
Certainly.
so people are going to try to read between the lines and throw in extra syllables and everything. And
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was in the gifted program as a kid, and I was still the last one in my kindergarten class to spell my own last name.
that's funny. I wish my maiden name was Smith, but it was Marcus.
Oh, well, that's a good name. I mean, it's also a first name, but that's one again. You're not going to forget. No one messes that up. It's not Marsus. Like they're going to
No.
know that. Like,
People called me Mucus, and that,
oh,
it scarred
wow.
me.
Oh, geez. And I have to ask this now. Did you have allergies?
No, I didn't have postnasal anything.
Oh,
Nothing.
okay.
Nothing.
See, I have allergies, so that's I would have dealt much worse with that than you.
So, what's the worst concoction someone's ever come up with out of your last name?
Oh, geez. It's usually what happens is that like it, as you can see my last name as it's probably on the screen or Benevent, it's you can get lost in all of the E's and N's and V's. And then you just kind of like make a few of them up and then you get on this conveyor belt that never stops. So usually when someone really messes up my name, it becomes this like long, Benevent and Nevin and Nevin and Nevin and Nevin event. Like it's like someone's messing with a lawnmower or summoning some kind of Irish spirit.
So, you've been in comedy, you said like 4 years solid.
Yeah, with real commitment. I mean, before that, it was a lot of like, I'll do an open mic once every 6 months, be utterly terrified, pace around outside the club for hours on end, go in, bomb, and then leave, and be like, I'm doing comedy. That was important for personal growth, but it wasn't necessarily comedy. And, but yeah, so with real commitment, coming up on about 4 years, I'd say.
And you're doing shows this particular week, tonight and Friday
Yeah,
at Zoom Flappers.
Yeah, Zoom Flappers is yeah. I'm at Flappers tonight at 7 and Friday at 7, and then Sunday at 5. I'm hosting a show that is, and I love that they do this over there. It's a Star Trek themed show, and I was a writer's intern on Star Trek Enterprise for the summer
No
of
way.
2003. So and there's nowhere else in the world I can use my I was an intern at Enterprise material. So I'm always grateful for a show like that. So you're not going to see me talk about that if you see me tonight at 7 or Friday at 7, but you come by Sunday at 5. Yeah, it's no, I've come to greatly, appreciate the Zoom show. I know what it lacks in the the social interaction
Yes.
before and after and even during a show that was so much an important part of comedy. I do love the I don't know how to word this, but like it's okay to have a prop. It's okay to reference the things around you. It's not so verboten as it would be. It's not, so I feel like in a very in a roundabout way, it offers a more clear version of how you're living.
Exactly. I was on a Zoom show today, and
Hey,
I wasn't prepared for something, Greg. I
what's
was
that, Linda?
doing my material, talking to the lady that's hosting the show, and her husband comes up to whisper in her ear while I'm doing my set to basically her and all the people on the radio. And I didn't know what to do, so I stopped and waited for them to finish. Because, like,
Okay.
but it kind of, I think a real pro that, would have just kept going. But I was like, I wasn't mad or anything. I was just like, I'm trying to be respectful. You're having a conversation. I'm going to wait.
Certainly,
And
I think I don't know. I think you kind of had the right idea there, Linda. And I would just piggyback on that. I think once so much of this migrated to Zoom, the idea of gatekeeping, exactly what does and does not constitute a pro, kind of went away. Like it had this kind sort of great leveling effect in terms of like, now, well, we're all figuring this out more or less from scratch. So I don't think
So,
you had to beat yourself up for being like, oh, you didn't, these people had this conversation during your set. I don't know, there's necessarily any kind of failing on your part, Linda.
well, that's cool because I thought, oh, and some real professional comic is going to say, "Why did you stop?" But what are you going to do? So tell me about being a writer on Star Trek.
Well, no, I was a writer's intern a million years ago. That's how I came to LA. I originally was just going to be a TV writer. I mean, that was my goal. I'd won this big contest in college from the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, and they put you, and I guess the guy that created that Star Trek show and a bunch of other ones had, um, he'd won the internship back in the late '80s. And when he did the internship, at the end of it, he got to write an episode. At the end of my internship, I got a quesadilla. So like things had changed in 15 years. And I think that while that was a long time ago, I feel like there's a direct through line between me getting that quesadilla and me being on these Zoom comedy shows in our year 2020. You know what I mean? Like those two roads in the woods kind of things.
Yes. So what did you write on that got you the winning spot in that contest?
As I remember, and and it's funny you mentioned that because that's one of those things. Look back, like, these were the ways my life should have gone if I'd been smarter and paying better attention. Was that I wrote, I think, because I was in college at the time, and you had to write like 5 pages of a show, and I wrote 5 pages of The Shield, which is a show I love very much, and then you had to do like a video. And the writers at Star Trek at the time that picked me from the video, they were like, "Well, your video was very funny," and somehow I didn't take that to be like, I should be doing comedy versus I'm trying to get into drama television for some reason. Like it's one of those things where like, I was given a sign and I profoundly misread it.
And then you got to be a writer's intern. And how
Yeah.
was that like your first day? What did that?
Oh, it was tremendous. I mean, because I was 21 years old, and they're the Paramount lot, and they're showing me around, and for someone that didn't grow up in Los Angeles, it was striking that first time you see, how amazing Hollywood can be versus like the reality of it that's right next door. Like it was that kind of thing where, the gift shop is directly next to like the Oscar for the best picture of The Godfather. Like they're directly, that like Hollywood dichotomy thing that took me a minute to catch up to. The first time I was struck with that was amazing. I mean,
So you're a writer, and how long were you a writer's assistant? To be
well, I was
honest,
there for 6 months, and then I was it 6 months or three? I don't even remember. It's been a minute. I mean, I don't talk about this part in the set. That's why I totally forgot about. But
it was last year.
you're right, exactly. Yeah, that was not last year. No, I want to say, yeah, it was 4 months, and then and then I went back and I finished college, and it's like so many other people that were more successful in Hollywood than me earlier on. There's that feeling of like, you get that first taste of success, and then you're like, it's going to be like this forever, and it is not.
So then what all did transpire from then till now?
Oh man, I had a script option that didn't get made. I bounced around, and then I also I used to weigh 300 pounds, and then I lost 120 pounds. I kept that off, and then I got into comedy and acting. And the truth is, I should have been doing all these things from the beginning, but I guess you find that when you do, right? I mean, isn't that more or less? That's certainly the rationalization I'm using.
I started comedy when I was 63.
Oh my Lord, Linda! I had no idea. I say this in all sincerity. I had no idea you were anywhere near that age. I would have thought you were much younger just from this conversation we've been having.
And now I'm 69 years old.
Wow! Congratulations. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. And I like to give the young girls a run for their money. Come on, step up your game. Come on. Don't get the clothes out of the dumpster. Iron them.
So where are you? Where are you situated from? Are you in LA or where are you?
Vegas.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I
I was thinking, yeah.
I came here on a visit, and
Okay.
then I don't know if you know Stephen Pearl, but I came for his birthday party.
It sounds
Met,
vaguely familiar.
yeah,
Yeah.
he ran around with Kinnison and Williams.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hmm.
And when I met all the people over there at the Laugh Factory, I was like, what am I doing at Harvey's Comedy Club in Portland, Oregon, when I could be in? Do you know people in comedy in Vegas are my age?
That's great.
Yeah, I love it here.
Cool. Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That's fantastic. Yeah.
So where's your life going with everything? What all are you like? You're writing and doing comedy and
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like so many other people. I've been very lucky, and the last few months, I feel like I've managed to make my life a vague approximation of the way it was right before the pandemic hit. I mean, it's I can do these Zoom shows. I'm working my day job. I go on auditions, all of it through this phone. But like a lot of people, I don't know if I've advanced past March 12th. Like I think I made it all the way back to March 12th, and I'm not sure what happens after that. But I've stayed in shape. I mean, that's been, I managed to buy 2 weights before the sporting goods store sold out of them, and that was fortuitous. I have all kinds of carbs, simple carbs here, but no, where I see where this is going. I mean, I honestly don't know. I mean, it's if there's one thing I've learned in the last 3 months, it is that I have no gift for predicting the future.
totally, totally.
So yeah, I mean, it's the only thing I can figure, and this is far more faith than a plan, but just to keep doing these kinds of things and question marks.
Yeah.
Oh, something. Hope that the next big thing that happens is not also terrible.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. This has really pushed us to the limit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And comedians, we're all kind of artists. We're
Mm-hmm.
sensitive folk, you know.
Right, right. And the thing is, I know, as I'm sure you do too, something I'm always struck by on these is that like the comedian that tries that puts up the biggest front of like, I'm not affected by this is the one that is the most. I mean,
Exactly.
it really is such in many cases a weaponized and professional defense mechanism.
Absolutely. It's been really interesting through the trajectory of getting people on Zoom and watching the spirits lift from the
Oh,
very
I
first
bet.
calls to
Oh,
now.
I can't imagine. I don't know about you. That first week, I literally could not do anything. Like there was no comedy. I could do my job and I could lie in bed. That was it. It
Yeah.
took a week. I think it was the first time I went Zoom drinking with my friends. Like after that, I was able to be like, okay, I can process a joke again. I
I
can at
know
least
it.
think about something other than washing my hands.
Calling people on Zoom has just been a lifeblood for me because
Oh,
I live alone if you don't count the cockroaches. And you know, when I get people on the phone, they're feeding my soul and they
mhm.
seem to enjoy being talked to. And
Certainly.
this has been great. I never
Oh, I
thought this
bet.
would ever happen, you know, or need to happen or be appreciated like it is.
Well, I think it's something, we talk about it at my day job, but I think I think in a lot of places, I think a lot of folks assumed that like this digital era would eventually get here. And the thing is that instead of taking like years to get here, it got here in like 2 weeks. Like
Yeah.
everything just accelerated so fast. And that's, and these things like this, like the Zoom, like these Zoom calls you're talking about, it very much is like, the one like little piece of grass coming up from the pavement, like these slight positive things.
Yes. What is your day job?
I'm the writer and podcast host for a marketing company called Website Depot. And,
Oh,
mhm.
cool. So then you do get to be at home and make a
Yes, But yeah, I mean, I was working from home before this, so that it's just, if anything, ironically now I have to, like, I didn't have to be in on the company meetings until all of them had to work from home too.
Totally, totally. So, um, I had a really good question and I just drew a blank.
That happens to me all the time on these things.
And it's
Do you
really
remember
bothering
anything?
me.
Do you remember any part of it or what it was? I mean, we can go back through the conversation a bit and see if there's anything in particular. I mean, we were talking about.
Yeah, I remember it now. Thank you.
Mhm.
In your comedy and your writing life, what's
Mhm.
been the highest point, the lowest point, the weirdest, hardest, stupidest, scariest thing you've been through? I want to hear some of those exaggerated
Uh,
elements.
uh, I don't know. The lowest point. I'm trying to think. It was there. I feel like there was one moment. I mean, just the first thing that came to mind was like when, my father came out to visit in Los Angeles. This was before I'd started comedy, but I was still just writing. And my dad, and I was unemployed, and I weighed 300 pounds. And I had a script, and I was trying to write some script that was not coming along. And I remember my dad was watching something on television, and I don't remember what it was, but I remember him saying like, "Oh, that's sad. That guy's unemployed and weighs 300 pounds." It was something to that effect. The highest thing. Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I was, I've done some. I mean, I don't know. That's hard. I don't have. I've done so many great shows and I've met a lot of nice people, but I'm not like by any means a professional. It's just, what it is. I think it's been uh, 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 doing shows with like people that I've known for so much of my life in attendance or watching. I mean, it's just because, so much of my life was people being like, you should do comedy. And then me never actually heeding that. So in a very real way, each of those moments when they repeat is almost its own redemption of sorts.
I like that. So, if the pandemic was totally over today and you could go do anything without any fear, what would you do today?
Oh
What's the
man.
thing you've missed the most?
I don't miss it the most, but I have, like a lot of other people that have stayed thin during this pandemic. I stayed thin more or less by losing muscle mass. So like I would I do miss going to the gym, and it's ironic I say that because yesterday my gym opened and there is no way in hell I'm going there for at least a month. Like
Yeah.
they're checking temperatures, they're giving out masks, some of them these big things, but no way am I doing that because that's, and this gets a little sidetracked or something. But I don't know if this way this is in Vegas, but like so many places are trying to reopen now, and all I can think is you're gonna mess it up.
Yeah. It's
Like it's
scary.
great. I mean, I mean, especially when you think of a place like a gym, like a coffee shop, these places where no one has ever had to think about the kind of deep cleaning and disinfection and like the strict, checking on a person, somebody. And now you're supposed to all of a sudden just get it at once with the
Yeah.
same staff that you were barely paying minimum wage before. I won't go to all these things when they open up a month after. Like once you've had, you've messed it up once and then bounce back, then we'll see. Like, when have you ever seen anyone get something right the first time, much less
Not,
an entire change? Like,
yes. I went to a comedy show last night down in Boulder City, just south of here. I
okay,
think it's south and west of here.
okay,
Anyway,
uh-huh.
I was the only one wearing a mask.
Oh, geez. Were they at least socially distancing, Linda? Or
They were, yes,
okay,
for the most part, they were. And
okay,
so, I'm scheduled to do a guest spot next Monday, and
okay.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to leave my
Yes.
mask on until I go on stage. So,
Mm-hmm.
then put
I
my
get to,
mask
yeah,
back on.
right. And that's, and I think you're a little bit further ahead of it, but I think eventually what you're saying, what you're going through are the kinds of, very real lifestyle choices and decisions that we're all going to have to make. I mean, I'm more or less going to camp out for another month here in my bedroom, but but the time will come when, I'll be doing very similar to what you just said.
Yes, yes, indeed. But I'm certainly very curious to see how the numbers in all these states, if it continues to rise and all that, you know.
Right.
Out here, a lot of people don't even think that COVID even exists.
Oh, geez.
And
And,
so,
yeah, I mean, I think we've had, what is it, 900 cases in my neighborhood, not in the valley, but in my neighborhood, and about 40 or so, 30, 40 some deaths. But yeah, I mean, when I go for a walk in the bike path behind me, I wear a mask, and I socially distance out walking on what's essentially a nice grassy area. I mean, it's not, by any means, it's the opposite of an enclosed space.
what's the funniest thing that you've observed during the pandemic? Because the pandemic isn't funny, but people and observing people overreacting, underreacting, fighting.
Uh, I'm trying to think. I think one, I don't know. The thing that stuck out, the first thing that came to mind for me, and I stopped myself from saying this, but like I was doing everything I could during the first month or so, because I also have asthma, to not go out. And I actually had to go to an urgent care because I had a problem with impacted earwax. So I had to go and have someone clean out the earwax. So I went in an N95 mask a friend gave me. And, this lady, they're all in masks, the doctors and all this, and they're going to clean me out. And the doctor says, "I'm sorry, can you please remove your mask?" And I was so close to saying, like, "Do you know where earwax is?"
Wow.
Like, it's
Wow.
not like it's not here. You can get there without the mask, but I let them do it. And and just the idea of like having to deal, like it's you could get the ear is literally exposed. Like, you didn't
Yeah.
need to go in to do that. And again, this was a month ago, so I'm going to be okay. But still, it's those little moments of like where absurdity takes that right turn into terror.
Yes, indeed. One of the funniest things that came to my mind during this time is like, I'm 69. I think
Okay.
it's hilarious that finally I get to see men wearing protection. It's all I can do with the pandemic.
There you go.
One cheap laugh for mankind. Yeah. So I would like to know, we've gone through a hell of a lot as a world, a
Hmm.
nation.
Hmm.
So we as humorous people see things differently. So do you have anything funny to say to people, or a unique perspective on how to make it through the rest of this pandemic, how to stay sane?
Ah, it. Oh man, I'm trying to think because I guess the only thing I could think of, and I'm trying to say this in like a level way and not like some kind of shrieking, terrified thing, is that you don't have to reopen all at once. If something's reopened, you don't have to go. It's I don't know if that's a unique perspective, but like it, it's almost, you've come this far in your home, you can make it a little further. That it's not that it's pleasant, it's not that it's fun. Bumble added that thing where you can do a first date on video. That it's just this one. If you can make it just a little bit further, we can actually like go out to a bar in like September. If we can just make it a little bit further and actually wear the mask. I'm trying to find a way to say that that's like in joke format and not just me like grabbing someone by their shoulders verbally.
Exactly. I think that's good advice, and that's a great way to look at it. Like I said, I'm in that show this coming Monday,
Mhm.
and it's a question mark about the safety issue, but
Mhm.
at least I'm wearing a mask, so we'll
Certainly,
see.
right, and that's all you can do. Yeah, I mean, it's sooner or later. I forget who said it, but just you know, this virus, it very much is like whether or not the evil wizard pulls your number.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
so what anything you can do is worth a shot. Like,
yes. Greg Benevent, oh my
yes,
gosh, I was so delighted to get to talk with you. And I
It was a lot
just,
of fun.
it was fun. And anytime, now that you've graduated the Comic Spot interview, anytime you have, like, that's a thing. Anytime, anytime you have any desire to come on and plug anything, come on back. I'll get you on for 5.
I will certainly remember that. Thank you so much, Linda. This was a pleasure. Have a great day.
You too. Bye, Greg.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody's talking at the comic spot. The comic spot.